Hello and welcome to your real estate journey. Expert tips for buyers and sellers. I am Dolly Lopez, your realtor and broker in the state of Florida and Kentucky. Today, I am joined by my favorite real estate attorneys, the VPPs, Leslie, Valerie. Welcome, ladies. How are you all?
Hi,
Good.
good to be with you every week.
I am so excited because and I always say this, but we really bring a lot of knowledge and educate our followers. And all of them are expecting you guys to come on Thursday. So I'm very excited for that. So today we're going to do a continuance about foreclosure proceedings and how to navigate foreclosures. If you haven't seen the last episode, please take a look at it because we start talking about foreclosures and everything that you need to know about foreclosures. What are your legal rights? Just what insights regarding foreclosures. So let's dive in. What is the the sale date proceeding? What is the procedure? What is the procedure that governs the sale date, and what are the rights to former homeowners have to contest that sales date? So
Yeah.
whenever we're talking about sales date, what exactly are we talking about?
So when we talk about a sale date, we're talking about a judicial sale date. And what that means is at that point in the foreclosure, the homeowners have already been served with the foreclosure, right? An answer has already been given to the complainant foreclosure. And there's not many defenses that you can give to foreclosures because it's very simple. There's a debt. That debt wasn't paid on time. The debt is owed. So how are we going to pay that off? That's paid off by selling the property. So
Right.
in the sale date procedure is when the judge issues a date for that property to be sold at an auction, the judicial auction, in order for the bank or whoever the lender may be, because it can also be a private lender, to be able to recover as much of the debt, if not all of the debt, by that foreclosure sale.
Gotcha. So whenever and let's walk through this because there are sales that goes to actually through the court, and the court puts a sales date and it goes to auction. But then there's others that takes a little longer, like whenever you have an FHA loan, for example, and the bank takes the property back, and then they actually put it with a realtor to list that property. So, what is really the difference between the both of them?
Well, now
Does
we're talking
one
about
take
two different
longer?
situations completely.
Yes.
One is a foreclosure, right? The foreclosure is when you have a legal proceeding where you the homeowner was sued for foreclosure. Then the judge puts a sale date on that home in order to recover the fees for the lender, recover the loan for the lender. What you're talking about is when the bank takes possession of the property. The bank will take possession. For instance, a lot in I think it was like 2013, 2014, they were doing a cash for keys kind of situation where the bank was saying, all right, let's avoid the foreclosure. Give me possession of the property. I
Or,
will handle
right.
getting it
Or
closed.
a deed in lieu was also
Correct.
a very typical way for the bank to recover the property and dispose of the property, whatever, the bank felt it was the appropriate way.
Mhm.
But that's not at all foreclosure. Foreclosure is in court, a legal proceeding that you are litigating in court to either demonstrate that the debt is real, that the money has to be repaid, or in the case of the homeowner, that in fact there is an accounting problem with the bank and he has made or she has made all of the payments that were due pursuant to the closing package, not the entire amount of the debt, but whatever amount you are required to pay every single month. And if you can demonstrate that, then the bank has no case. But more likely than not, there will be outstanding balance that hasn't been paid, and then the bank has the right to recover that. And the bank will have to demonstrate, typically through a summary judgment proceeding. It's just a motion and evidentiary hearing that goes in front of a judge to determine, based on the evidence, that the homeowner has no defense available and that the court shouldn't waste any more resources before and going to trial and just entering a final judgment by the judge without having to go to a jury, without having to go through the whole trial process, which is a very lengthy process. And then the judge will issue the final judgment if all of the evidence in fact show that the homeowner has no defense for the outstanding balance. Then after the final judgment is entered is when a sale date is determined or announced and noticed, and everybody has ample notice of a future sale date. More than 30 days, usually it could be 60 to 90 days, but
Yeah.
it's always going to be more than 30 days for a sale date to be
And we've been able in the past, and in cases that we've handled, we've actually been able to extend that sale date.
correct.
Because let's say the owner realizes at that time, even though it's a little late, but realizes at that time that they want to be able to sell the property in the market. Because let's be real, we're always going to get more money if you sell it on the market as opposed to selling it at an auction. So if we have a legitimate buyer where we can show to the court and show to the bank, hey, here is the contract we have. Here's a legitimate buyer. Either they're buying cash or they're buying finance, but here's the approval for their financing. Then we could extend that foreclosure date. Why? Because you're going to be selling it for more money. So it's not only more beneficial for the homeowner, it's also more beneficial for the bank because they're going to get their money quicker and they're going to get their full amount of money, which they risk if it goes on for a sale date. Because for a sale date, when you sell it at an auction, a judicial auction, we don't know how much it's going to sell for. It's up in the air as to whether it's going to sell for the amount that's needed to cover the loan that's due for the lender, or maybe it's less. And if it's less, then it becomes more of a risk for the lender because now they're not going to be able to recover their fees in total.
Right.
And they're actually at a loss.
Gotcha. Okay, so are there any opportunities for the homeowners to redeem their property after foreclosure sale? And what are the legal requirements that must be met to exercise the right of redemption within a specific time frame?
Well, I think before we talk about the right of redemption, I think deficiency judgments are a little more important because I think that's the next procedure. So
Okay.
if the property is actually sold at a foreclosure sale at the judicial auction, and as we've explained, it's sold for less than what the judgment is due, for less than what the lender is due, for less than the loan amount, then the bank is going to have what's called a deficiency judgment against the homeowner. What does that mean? That means that although the house is sold, the homeowner is still in charge for that difference.
Yeah.
If there is a difference in what they were able to recover and what's owed, then they're going to have a judgment against their personal name, and that affects them in the long run.
Yes, it's a debt. It's a debt that you have there, and they can go against that deficiency judgment, freezing your bank accounts, going after other investment properties that you may own at the time. Many ways they can, as any other final judgment, they can try to collect on that debt the same way any other people would do. It's called deficiency because it's the difference between what you owed in the entirety and the difference from what they got on the foreclosure sale. But it's important that you have an attorney to help you navigate this scenario, because a way out of obtaining a deficiency judgment is allowing the bank to obtain a consent final judgment in exchange of you not having a deficiency judgment. What that means is you're going to have the bank do less work in having to file a motion, set it in front of a judge, arguing and doing the whole litigation process, in exchange of you saying, okay, I agree, I consent, I owe you X amount of money, but in me giving you this consent, I want you to, forgive me about the deficiency that may or may not be at the foreclosure sale. And that's typically the way that this gets settled. And then you just your consent judgment, and the bank gives you releases you from any and all deficiency judgment that may be after the foreclosure sale.
So ultimately, whenever someone is going through this, just call a realtor.
Right.
Try to sell it on your own. Most likely, you will be better off.
Oh, yes, you will.
You will. Not most likely. 100% you will be better
There's
off.
so much equity out there in the U.S.
Correct.
right now that doesn't make sense going through this process. However, if you find yourself that you have to go through this process, as you guys were saying, hire an attorney, and not a regular attorney, an attorney that does real estate, an attorney that
Mhm.
does foreclosure proceedings. Not all attorneys, they don't do the same thing.
Yeah,
They specializes in different areas, which initially when I was like 18, 19 years old, I thought attorneys did everything at the same time. So it took me a little bit to kind of figure out that no, you guys specialize in different things.
yeah,
So there are different ways. You can even explore the option of short sale. But once again, I don't even think that shouldn't even be an option at
yeah.
this point with how much equity people have in their houses.
Of course.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining me, going over this with our followers, and look for next episodes. We're going to be talking about disputes, which it's very important for people to know how to, well, educate yourself how
Yeah.
a dispute process actually goes. So, ladies, thank you so much. You guys following us, make sure you comment below. Uh, just send us a text. You have our phone numbers in there. Feel free to contact us with any questions. And if you want us to cover any type of topics, feel free to leave it in the comments. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.